In human physiology, we have a topic known as control and coordination, and we have been dealing with that. When we deal with control and coordination, we have to deal with three systems. Now, what are those three systems? First one is the nervous system, which includes the brain and its functionaries rest, which work along with it for the control of the body and its various functions. Second is the endocrine system, which works hand in hand with the nervous system, so that the functionaries of the central nervous system, they can work hand in hand with other organs and perform the functions which are required by the body. In a way, they are controlling the entire physiological functions of the body, either passively or actively. Then the third system is the sensory system. You know, when we talk about nervous system, we had talked in great lengths about how it is the stimulus which plays an important role. The stimulus has to be taken up, it has to be processed in the brain. That is what is the function of brain, and how that stimulus is taken up, that is taken up by some or other sensory organ. Now, when we study the sensory system, we have to study about eye and ear. Now, we are going to study about human eye. You see this beautiful eye, you might have seen this pictures at so many places. You might have seen in great detail somebody's eyes which are as beautiful as this shown over here. Now, this is what human eye looks like. These are the eyelashes, as you can see. This is the eyeball. You must be knowing that the size of eyeball is similar to what one is born with. It stays similar, it does not change. Now, this is the main eyeball, this is the periphery, that is which is the muscular part. These are the eyelids which are responsible for closing of the eyes. This part, this white part and this part. Now, this black part, first of all, before coming to these, let's see what this black part is. This black part is the aperture through which the light would go inside the eye. First thing, the aperture through which the light would go inside the eye. Inside the eye is a ball basically. Whenever we say it's an eye, it's an eyeball. Now, in the ball, hollow ball you can say, the ball has its outer surface as this having an aperture. This is iris, alright. This is cornea, okay. As you can see in cornea, there is least blood supply in the cornea. That is why cornea transplant is easy, because it does not have blood supply to it. Now, when we go inside the eye, if we have to, supposedly you are given a chance to go inside the eye through this aperture. As I told you, it is an aperture, it is a hole-like thing from which the light goes inside. Supposedly you are allowed to go inside this aperture. What would you see inside eye? First thing is that you would fall inside, because it is a hollow spherical structure and it is having fluid inside it. We are going to see the anatomy of human eye next. This is what is the anatomy. This was the aperture, you entered through it, you are going to encounter the lens of the eye. We have lens inside our eye which is responsible for the formation of image behind a screen. Now, from your knowledge of optics, we study a lot about optics in physics. You know that whenever an image is to be formed, there needs to be a screen on which the image has to be formed. If we are having lens in between, the image would be formed at a different place. There could be a magnification, there could be, the image could become shortened and so on. Over here also, there is a gelatinous lens, that is eye lens. We are blessed with lens in both the eyes, and this lens is responsible for accommodation of the eye, that is making the image on the screen known as retina. So, this screen on which the image would be formed is the retina, and it would be behind. So, one by one we are going to see the layers of the eyes, and we are going to see what part is located where. First of all, we have eyelashes, that is aside, we have conjunctiva which is present, we have this outer layer that is known as cornea, that is whitish, and it is in continuation towards the back. When cornea continues towards the back, that is known as sclera, alright. Inner to sclera there is another layer known as choroid. Alright, and innermost layer of choroid is the retina, which happens to be the screen on which the image is being formed, which gets accommodated by the lens of the eye, which lies right behind the aperture. You can see in your own eye that you have an aperture over there inside which the light goes, and this is the lens, this is the screen. Enough of it said. Now let's see the other parts. We had cornea, we had cornea in continuation towards the back known as sclera, then inside sclera we had choroid, we had retina. Now you see that this choroid is separated from retina by a layer of pigmented epithelium. Why this is pigmented epithelium? Because if it is not pigmented, it would not be easy for making an image. As you see in the case of glass, when you have a glass, you cannot see an image being formed because you see through and through the glass. But in case you paint it black from backside, it becomes a mirror and you see your own image. This is what happens in this case. You have a pigmented epithelium behind retina where the image would be formed. Now we will come to retina later on, but let's see what is over here. There are the ligaments which attach the lens, alright, which are attached to the lens. These are known as ciliary bodies. They are muscular ciliary bodies which are responsible for changing the focal length of the lens. Now you know that if the lens is having lesser focal length, it would form a next image would be different. If it is having greater focal length, the image would be different. That is again from your knowledge of optics. If you haven't studied optics by now, this is very basic knowledge from your earlier classes as well. Now it is going to change the focus of the lens so that image is formed accordingly on the screen. There is a Schemm's canal from which you are going to see the tears coming, and it keeps the entire part lubricated. Now you see this part, the outer part from where you see this one, the outer part as you see in this eye, this outer part remains wettish. It is not dry. It cannot be dry because there would be abrasion due to closing of eyelids, and it cannot be dry. So we have an aqueous chamber over here which keeps the eyeball, basically outer eyeball, wet, alright. It keeps it hydrated, it does not let it dry, and we have a vitreous chamber inside the eye, hollow chamber, which is having vitreous humor inside it, again for keeping the eye keeping it from drying basically. And we have anterior chamber and posterior chamber of the aqueous chamber, alright. Aqueous chamber has aqueous humor inside it. This part is the iris, which has different colors. Whenever we talk about eye color, whether it is blue, whether it is brown, it is black, that is basically the color of iris, where we have pigment layers, proteins which are arranged in such a way so that it gives a coloration. That iris has a pupil inside it, that is the aperture, and it has lens from where the light would enter. Now coming to the retina. Now retina is the main site where maximum of images are formed. One thing you have to keep in mind, that you are able to see the things at speed of light. Close your eyes, open up the eyes and open up the eyes, and you see everything around you. How it happens is that some light comes inside your eye, an image is formed on the retina, which is having lots and lots of receptor cells basically, which are sensible to different colors and light intensity. We are going to come to the mechanism of vision, but I am just telling you that what a marvelous organ it is basically, what a great organ I would say, which makes you see the entire world. You are seeing me as well, all thanks to your eyes. The light would enter from the pupil. This lens is a convex lens, as you can see. It is not a concave lens, it is a convex lens. So it is going to form an inverted image. But do you see things inverted? No, you don't see things inverted. I am not visible to you upside down. Now what will happen? The image that would be formed over here, all thanks to the receptor cells and various cells which are concentrated in dense quantities at certain sites, which are sensitive to light and color of the image, whichever would be formed, that is going to make an inverted image. But nothing is visible to us in inverted form. So what happens is, there is an optic nerve which takes up that stimulus on the retina, it goes to the brain makes that inverted image erect, and then we see. So you can make it out that how lightning fast is all this process is. You can close your eye, just do it for once, close your eye and open it up, and all these things, the light would have entered your eye, it would have gone and made an image on retina, retina would have taken those optic nerves, would have taken that stimulus, it would have taken it to the brain, from brain the image would have got erect, and then you see the things. This is how it works, which is part of mechanism of vision. What I am trying to tell you over here is that this screen, that is this innermost layer, is having dense arrangement of various photoreceptor cells. Now at one side there is a spot known as macula, which is having lots and lots of concentration of photoreceptor cells, and it is having inside much amount of cones. Cones are the cells we will study about. It is CONES, cone cells, which are present, and they are present in so much abundance that we have a point known as fovea centralis, where the resolution of image is highest. Now when I say resolution, you all must be dealing with different types of cameras, and you buy phones thinking that it is having how much camera, it's so much megapixels and other things. Basically that refers to the resolution. Now when I say resolution, if supposedly your screen, mobile screen or your TV screen is having lots and lots of colors, you are going to get the image in a lot of clarity. The image that would be formed, it would be very clear as much as it gives you a 3D effect, three-dimensional effect. That is how you buy things. When somebody tells you, oh, this is having an OLED display, this is having this much contrast ratio, this is how you buy things. It is based on the number of colors that particular screen is having. So is in the case of retina, and in macula there is a spot known as fovea centralis, where the concentration of those cells which perceive the colors is maximum. So you can make it out that the image resolution would be highest at that point. Our eye is no less than a camera, it is no less than a telescope, it is no less than a microscope. You can make it out, but camera would be the best example with the highest resolution. You see, our eye gives us the higher most resolution that could be given by any gadget. So that is because we have fovea centralis, which has maximum concentration of cones. Coming back, we have a blind spot present over here, that is known as, in the optic disc, there is a part on retina known as optic disc, which has supply of, as you can see, artery and vein for this oxygen requirements of the tissues, and apart from that there is a nerve which comes, that is known as optic nerve, which goes to optic chiasma in the brain. This optic nerve, where it comes and joins with the retina, that spot is known as blind spot. Now why it is known as blind spot is, supposedly you can see me, there are few lights which are falling on me. If in that light, from where the light is coming, I put a spot, that part will not be able to give light on my face and on my face or the screen, and then that part would appear black. It would not have light and it will appear black. Same as in the case of blind spot. There are no cells which are present at this blind spot. That is the site where the optic nerve comes and is in articulation with this retina. Articulation is not the right word again, where the optic nerve comes and joins with the retina. At that spot we do not have any photoreceptor cell. Now when there are no photoreceptor cells, how can you imagine some sort of image getting formed over here? So blind spot is the name, correct name that is given. It's just like, again I would give you the example of your phone screen or your laptop screen. You would see that at some spot, in bad cases I would say, sometimes the screen goes black, a small spot on the screen goes black. Why? Because the colors over there, the colors and the screen colors which are responsible for resolution, they are not present over there, or they do not receive the electrical supply that is needed. So that makes it black. Same way, where the optic nerve is present, there is going to be no photoreceptor cell, and that forms the blind spot. So with this we come to the end of our understanding of the anatomy of eye. Next we are going to study the mechanism of vision, how this anatomy helps in forming an image. And when we talk about mechanism of vision, we deal with the nervous implications, not just the formation of image that restricts our knowledge from optics, but we deal with the nervous implications, that is how the impulse would be generated, where it would go, what would be the cellular parts which play a role. So I guess you are done with the anatomy. Now in the next lesson we are going to use this anatomy for our knowledge of understanding the mechanism of vision.